I can't for the life of me. This is what pisses me off about music. This is the main thing. You're either a lonely producer or you're a session producer. Those are the two different producers I've come across in this game, and they are very different from each other. One producer, the lonely producer, can work on his own, doesn't need any other energy in the room. The session producer is completely opposite. He needs at least one other energy in the room, or let's call it an audience, in order to make something happen. And it pisses me off that I'm the session, not the lonely. Because if I was the lonely, I'd be making beats left, right and centre, but I need one little bit. It could be a rat that walks in the room.
What do you mean? So you can bounce off the energy?
Yeah, I just need some sort of object that moves, not a fan, but some sort of object that moves, that has some sort of energy that could be like, so just pass it on. And I know, listen, I've been here for years, right? I used to wake up in the morning, think, yeah, come to the studio, okay, great, just me on my own all day, can get into my little sounds. And did I come up with one blasted beat the whole time?
It don't work like that.
It doesn't work like that, not for me anyway. Not for me anyway. But then there's other producers, I like to call them lonely producers, who they trust themselves. So it's like, they are their own critique. I think what happens with me is that I'll lay a kick drum down, or I'll lay a hi-hat or something, and I'll talk myself out of it.
Second guess it.
I'll be like, no, that's not the right kick drum. By the time flies, and it's like, what, 6 o'clock in the evening?
You didn't realise you haven't created it?
I got here at 9 in the morning. It's
the producer, eh?
The lonely producer. So the difference is, so basically why I'm talking about this now is because I am definitely the session producer. I've been brought up that way. I feed off of people's energy, and it's like what we spoke about the other day. It's like you need an audience. It's like, it's like you're performing. Like, I'm such a performer in that way. It's like in the studio, I need the same kind of energy. So even if it's like someone in the corner, like nodding their head as I'm making a beat, that's enough for me to keep going. I'll give you an example. I was making,
Did you do the side eye?
yeah, because you can feel people in your peripheral, so it's like I can even see shadows. Like if someone's doing that, right, I'm just gonna continue making it. But if everyone's like still, I might like convince myself to change the direction I'm on. I'll give you an example. I was making On My Mind, which is another Disciples record. Went gold, by the way. Thank you very much. I was doing the bass line on my own, and what happened was I was this close from throwing everything away. Because it's like it gets to the point with me where I'll be so involved in what I'm doing and it feels really good, and then the other side of me talks myself out of it. So it's like a vicious circle. And the only way that song is here today, the only reason why it's still around and the reason why it's done well is because Gavin came in the room, the other disciple, and he was like, oh no, that sounds good. That one little that sounds good.
And how long would it have taken you to change that if you didn't walk in?
Bruv, I would have thrown the whole thing in the bin.
Okay.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know.
Like you ask Luke and Gavin, they know me so well. They're wicked lonely producers. Luke is a sick lonely producer. Like he'll be on his own, just like, and he'll have it on loop, and he'll just, by the end of the day, he'll just create a masterpiece. Gavin the same. Like Gavin's a wicked lonely producer. Like he can just get inside his own thoughts, and by the end of the day, or the end of a couple of days, he'll have something to show for it.
So do you think that's a disadvantage to you?
It depends where it is. It depends. Let me start again. It depends who you are and what circles you roll in. Like I'm very much about feeding off of people's energy, so I like to have people in the room. So I'm more of a social, creative artist in a way.
Give me an example of a lonely producer, other than the two Disciples boys.
A lonely producer. Okay, so when I worked with Calvin Harris. Calvin Harris is a sick lonely producer. You know, we only worked back and forth on email, but the things he was saying and coming up with is like second to none, and he's been doing that time in and time out in his career. He's been the only one in what we call EDM that's transitioned cleverly throughout, and that's because, you know, he's a one-band genius. Like he's very, if you see some of the emails that we went through, in the end it just became us trusting him, even if we didn't agree. So especially like with How Deep Is Your Love. How deep is your love? And we send him everything, like even...
He's sort of constantly been able to like reinvent himself.
Yeah.
And change with the times and go and obviously come up with these new sounds at work and at current constantly.
Exactly that. He's able to continue reinventing himself, but not being a slave to what's going on as well. Because there's people who reinvent themselves just to jump on the hype of the culture, and he's not that. Like he's always been at the forefront because he's a pioneer. He's been so different. That's what I want to fall in that bracket. But he's a lonely producer, so he has more time on his hands to produce more music because he doesn't need people around.
Yeah, he can sit down and just. I'm going to the studio this morning.
Exactly. From what I gather, don't take my word for that. From what I experienced, right? With me, it's like even you two being in the room now, I can make something. I can make something hot. Don't ask me to.
You should.
Yeah, but I could.
Give you 2 minutes to make something.
It's not even plugged in.
Okay, make something in 2 minutes and show them that you're a session producer.
want to go with that bass line, I might change it. This is where it gets tricky. I might start changing it until I hear or see someone move.
We've been moving.
But I like it, but this is as far as I can get to on my own.
Yeah.
And then, normally at this point, I'll lay the bass line down, I go out Sainsbury's, get some food, come back, listen to it, and I'm gone. But I'm going to stick with it, And what I noticed as well, if you get your arrangement from early, it makes you enjoy the tune more.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just listening to a dead loop over and over again. So I'm going to lay the bass down early. Right, so I basically, as quickly as I could, went through a load of ideas and places on my laptop where I knew sounds were. It's as simple as that. So I knew that I wanted to take a vocal piece from a choir. So you have to have some, it's like a blank canvas is as good as the paintbrush you're holding, really. So you still need a brush in your hand, and the brush is like the idea you may have in your head. It's like there's no point in coming into a room and just like, I don't think anyway, coming into a room and like having no clue what's going on. I already had, as soon as you said make a beat in 2 minutes,
I knew what he was going to do.
I mean 2 minutes is unrealistic, but I knew, as soon as you said make a beat, I knew I wanted it to be tribal. And then I knew I wanted to use that vocal because that vocal is so strong. It's like a whole choir.
You basically had it planned out.
But not sound-wise, just like...
You knew what you wanted to do, you knew where you wanted to
go. Yeah, exactly. So that helps. Nice. And that helped me locate the sounds I need.
So would you say helping to have a template in your mind, or?
I think the two things, have a template here. So like I've got a load of preloaded sounds that I've made like from back in the day. Every time you like a sound, just save it. Literally, just go to here and save channel strip setting, and then just, because I've edited that, I'm going to call it Book a Tribal. And now that sound, anytime I want to do a tribal-ish sounding record, I might just go to that, and all I have to do is just go to Instrument, Setting, and look for, what's it called? Book a Tribal. Boom. I think that's half the battle.
If you were sitting here on your own, now back to the lonely producer versus the session producer.
Yeah.
Where would you be with that now? How far in?
We'd be at the pub, mate. We'd be at the pub. I'm not joking. Like I'd finish. I'd be like, nope, not working. It's not happening. Yeah, that's that's all you vibe. But that's basically like the idea. So if I was in the room on my own, I would have started that way. But even now, I might want to throw it away. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like having people in the room and then you can make a hit. It's like the whole day has to be
the source that comes with it.
Yeah, it's all the same energy sources, like feeding off of each other. You know? So like it's great that you guys are here. And I love that record. Now I want to finish it. Do you know what I mean? But you guys not being here or anyone not being here would be a different story altogether. So I'm saying, like for me,
wouldn't have even been created in the first place.
Mate, yeah, exactly. The beauty of having a whole new tune now is like I know how to finish that. Could probably even be something for Disciples. Yeah, and the collaboration is key for me because once Luke and Gav, if they want to touch it, it's going to go off the rip scale because they're sick with drums, arrangement. Like you got your whole team behind you. What we were talking about before was the session producer, right? So for me, I've had to come to terms with that fact of being a session producer, and I kind of like it because I like the social aspect of feeding off of people's energy, you know. But I do think that lonely producers get more done because you're not always with someone. But it's just a different way of working. But then can lonely producers do well in a session? That's the other flip side. Like, are they efficient in a session? I know I am.
They're gonna be thinking, oh, do they like what's going on?
Yeah, they like people. Lonely producers like to be in their own space, so they can be like, all right, does that kick drum work? Let it hit me for an hour before I make a decision on whether that kick drum works. In a session, you ain't got an hour. You've got to like.
You've got an hour.
You've got about an hour for the whole tune. So it's like there's pros and cons to both, but the most important thing I think is knowing which one you are. And you know, I could sit here and pretend I'm a lonely producer, but I'm not. I'm a session producer. It's as simple as that. So. You know what?
Sounds good.
You know what? I feel like I want to give this to an artist now.
Yeah, throw it over to someone, brother.